people are aware that NATO had a secret corps that are recognized by European Union in 90 years, and these factions of army, paramilitary army, we have reasons to believe that still exists. It's an important topic. Chapter 6, counterbalancing the Soviet Union, which were the reasons for Soviet Union collapsed only because of economic internal reasons. Well, I showed in this book it wasn't only this. It was an influence from outside powers, especially from United States, to dismember Soviet Union. Chapter number 7, plans to maintain unipolarity. Here we have some very important doctrines of Pentagon, for instance, Volkovich doctrine, the influence of Project for New American Century, Bush doctrine, and of course I discussed the current strategy of Pentagon, issued in 2018, which is active until next year, inclusive. Chapter number 8, NATO expansion. And I focused on the events in Yugoslavia, Crimea, and a general view of events in progress. Chapter number 9, about the attack in 9/11 and then what followed the offensive in the Middle East. About Iraq, Libya, Syria, the petrodollar system, and of course I insisted on this issue that I said in the beginning about the strange aspects of 9/11 attack. Many questions that the official answers are not satisfactory. Chapter number 10, United States versus the rest of the world. About double standards, US alliance with Israel, what means democracy in the United States. It's the biggest so-called prison in the world. 20% of the population in prisons in the world are in the United States. It is a repressive regime, and they want to have the image of a country with a lot of liberty, a model of democracy. Chapter number 11, the US economic warfare. I analyzed here the mechanism of state indebtedness, and I focused on the main war that US is engaged in present with Russia, with China, European Union, with Iran, with Turkey, and about a very important process that is happening in this period, the de-dollarization. Many states doesn't want to have trades in dollars because this becomes an instrument of coercivity. And chapter number 12 is entirely focused about the events in Venezuela. I consider that is a very relevant subject, and that's why I wanted to have an entire chapter about this. I will insist on some details further on in my presentation. And of course, I had some conclusions, trends about American militaries. There are some relevant statistics, official statistics from the United States. Is Donald Trump still fighting against deep state on some issues? I quote in my book many relevant articles and resolutions from the UN chapter. And now I will give an example here. No state or group of states has the right to intervene directly or indirectly for any reason whatever in the internal or external affairs of any other state. So, is this article respected? It's important question, and my answer is no. And I will give examples. Even the North Atlantic Treaty in Article number 5 explains that the military interventions of NATO are allowed only if a member of the islands is attacked by another state. But, as I explained here, after 1991, NATO attacked states that did not attack any other states. They were not a threat to any NATO member. They were not in the NATO area, North America and Europe, and they did that without the UN Security Council approval. Examples: Yugoslavia, Iraq, Libya, Syria. And which were their reasons? Human rights of individuals, for minorities or protesters, concern for peace, democracy, liberty, stability. But I explained plainly in my book, most of these reasons were fake and even cynical. And I will give you an example of this aspect of cynical only a few seconds.
Children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And, you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
So, this was the answer of Madeleine Albright, who was Secretary of Defense of the United States. The price worth it to die 500,000 children in Iraq in 1991 because the plans of America. And I explain in this book that the embargo imposed by the United States was on false premises about Kuwait. I will not go into details now, but everything is explained in the book with sources. This book is very well documented. Every assertion that I make is based on reliable sources, and not from eastern parts of the world, from Russia or China. It's from the United States. Their own scholars say that. Another example in Yugoslavia, as I told you before, mainstream media, for instance, Time magazine, called Slobodan Milosevic the butcher of Balkans, or CNN, the new Adolf Hitler. So it was very dangerous. And that's why they considered it necessary to bomb. And they did these bombings almost 3 months continuously, every day, every single day. They destroyed Yugoslavia. And after 17 years, as I told you, Hague Tribunal exonerated Slobodan Milosevic for Bosnia war crimes 10 years later, too late, because he died in prison in Hague Tribunal. And I want to show you his arguments. He is the best to explain what happened there.
We said very clearly, we will welcome a civilian United Nations mission to witness what happened there, and to witness the process of political settlement as well. And we always were open. Look to the facts. Before this war, we accepted, we received verification mission of OSCE, biggest verification mission in history of OSCE, 2,000 of them, plus UNHCR personnel, plus International Red Cross, plus 1,000 journalists from all around the world, plus Kosovo Diplomatic Observation Mission composed of all diplomatic mission in the country. And who would tell us we were not open to international community in so small territory like Kosovo, with so huge verification mission, OSCE and UNHCR, International Red Cross, all journalists, diplomats, and every road open to everybody. But that was not the goal. The goal was how to create instability and how to start bombing. In Ranguye, as I said to you, we are not talking to Albanians. We are talking to Americans who would like to take our territory for themselves and for NATO. And Albanians were just excuse for them. They were keeping them in a side room to be their alibi for doing those crimes which your government committed against our country and our people. And victims are not selectively chosen. Everybody is a victim. Predominantly children, women, all people, civilians, and civilians. United Nations Charter prohibits aggression, prohibits even any military intervention without decision of Security Council. In this case, you abolished United Nations. Practically, your bombing destroyed first United Nations, destroyed the truth. And of course, what is the most sad thing for us, killing our civilians and ruining our factories, bridges, housing area, residential area, and all those things. And one greeted message was very illustrative. Stop bombing, stop lying. Those two things are done together. And that is explanation of those two wars you are running against one small, sovereign, independent country 5,000 miles away from your coast. For what? Could you explain to me for what and what is American national interest? And you are trying to tell us that your national interest is stronger in our ancient territory than Serbian national interest in Serbian ancient territory. And you are doing so. For what? Where is the reason for that? When our soldiers are dying, they know why they are dying. They are dying for their homeland, for their fatherland. And for what will die your soldiers? 5,000 miles from home, killing children until they sleep, killing women and girls and peaceful citizens, and ruining what we were building through the decades after the Second World War. And to absurd, the bigger we were allies in those wars. In the world. I think that there is at least now 100 countries in the world which have problems with some kind of separation movement. But only this country is bombed by strongest and most powerful war machinery that ever existed in the world. And who will gain glory with all those powerful and high technology ruining one small independent country, member of UN? And what will the world look like after that practice? World has to be free. Every country, every people has a right to live in freedom, not to be occupied or terrorized by superpowers who will tell them how to live, what to do, what to think, and how to behave.
not only for Serbian people, but for all the peoples in the world, because that are attacked by American imperialism, because the means are the same. They are doing the same in all the countries where they started wars. And I could give you many more examples in Iraq, but the time is not enough for what I would like to tell you. For instance, in Iraq, the Secretary of Defense explained, yes, look, here we have the proof that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. If you want to see, it's only 1 minute.
Less than a teaspoon of dry anthrax, a little bit about this amount. This is just about the amount of a teaspoon. Less than a teaspoonful of dry anthrax in an envelope shut down the United States Senate in the fall of 2001. This forced several hundred people to undergo emergency medical treatment and killed 2 postal workers just from an amount, just about this quantity that was inside of an envelope. Iraq declared 8,500 liters of anthrax, but UNSCOM estimates that Saddam Hussein could have produced 25,000 liters. If concentrated into this dry form, this amount would be enough to fill tens upon tens of thousands of teaspoons. And Saddam Hussein has not verifiably accounted for even 1 teaspoonful of this deadly material. And that is my third point, and it is key. The Iraqis have never accounted for all of the biological weapons they admitted they had, and we know they had. They have never accounted for all the organic material used to make them, and they have not accounted for many of the weapons filled with these agents, such as their R-400 bombs. This is evidence, not conjecture. This is true. This is all well documented. Dr. Blix told this council that Iraq has provided little evidence to verify anthrax production and no convincing evidence of its destruction.
So this is evidence, this is true, it is undeniable. And what they did after they invaded Iraq and killed, I will show you the news, more than 1 million people. CIA's final report, no weapons of mass destruction found in Iraq. So this is the truth. Look, Chilcot report, trial, no imminent threat from Saddam Hussein in 2003. Iraq conflict has killed 1 million Iraqis. Reuters. Another very respected site, just foreign policy, 1.5 million people died after the US invasion. And for general view, it is US State Department source. It is not Russians or Chinese or something else. The US State Department showed that the number of terrorist attacks exploded after the so-called war on terror was triggered by the United States. So it's not a peaceful situation after this war. It's worse, it's much worse. And here I analyzed a bit this huge lie about 9/11 events. I don't insist very much. In Europhysics news, the review of European Union of Physics, a conclusion, very respected scholars, they said the evidence points overwhelmingly to the conclusion that all 3 buildings were destroyed by controlled demolition. So it wasn't because of planes. It's a respected study. Another important study says the principal conclusion is that fire did not cause the collapse of World Trade Center 7, contrary to the conclusion of the officials in the United States and East. The secondary conclusion is that the collapse of buildings number 7 was a global tragedy involving the near simultaneous failure of every column in the building. If we consider this result, it is an impossibility. Because of one fire, many floors did not have any fire, and still the columns ceased to resist suffering and simultaneously. This cannot be. And this is a study, scientific study that lasted many years with all the means of science. Who created ISIS? This is some very important issues. About Russia, the official version is that Russia invaded Afghanistan because of their imperialistic tendencies. So it is not true. Look, but Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was a very important official from Pentagon, said that CIA entered in Afghanistan before the Russians. It is a French newspaper, and he admitted himself. And actually, the article is very important. He said, we will offer to the Russians what we had with Vietnam. And indeed, they did. Important video that Hillary Clinton admitted that United States created terrorists. But I will not put it now, only if you want. It's about 4 minutes here. Maybe later, I don't know, I'm going to make a very long presentation. The Pentagon admitted that they found terrorists, rebels in Syria. It's about to try again, you see, to make the regime change in Syria. Rand Paul, senator from Nigeria. My colleagues just voted to arm the allies of Al Qaeda. So why was this such a strong terrorist movement in the Middle East? Why? Because it was supported. BBC explained that the leaders of ISIS, Daesh, was rescued by United States Army. And there are many articles from respected newspapers. CBS, US quietly let hundreds of ISIS fighters flee Iraq. And local newspapers, US helicopters evacuated ISIS commanders from Syria. US continues to evacuate Daesh leaders from Deir ez-Zor. So, on official statements, United States is fighting against ISIS, but unofficial, they rescue the leaders of ISIS. It is a double standard. I will insist a bit on a specific case about Venezuela, US economic warfare in Venezuela. I want to tell you that I came exactly 3 days ago from Venezuela. I have been to a very important Congress, global meeting against imperialism. This is the name of the Congress. And I saw with my eyes the realities in Venezuela. The news in Europe and North America is that Maduro is a dictator. And one way is a revolutionary who wants to make transformation of Venezuela on the benefit of the population. So this is not true. People support Maduro. I saw there, I've been there. It is written everywhere on walls. Maduro president, united, we are invincible, and things like this. And people are very enthusiastic. They do not support one leader. And this is absolutely obvious, but mainstream media in our country, in Romania here, has a completely different orientation and supports what the United States said, when Guaido self-declared himself as president of Venezuela, immediately Washington and all its allies from Europe supported and said, yes, indeed, Juan Guaido. A funny thing, I met a guy from Great Britain, journalist, and he said at this Congress, he said, I'm afraid that when Juan Guaido, he made a tour from Europe last week. When Juan Guaido arrives in London, I'm afraid to not self-declare the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And I hope he will leave without doing this. And look, some facts. The international monetary system blocked $5,470 billion belonging to Venezuela. And that's why the Venezuelans confront with the situation of poverty. And they did not have money to manage all the problems needed in Venezuela. And these facts are very well documented. Here is a list of banks that block the money of Venezuela, and they have the pretext that we cannot give the money for Venezuela government, we only give them to Juan Guaido, who is the legitimate president of Venezuela. And this is false, because I told you, people support Maduro, not Juan Guaido. And look how the Western media manipulates people. For instance, the paper The Economist actually make kind of encouraging people how to get rid of Nicolas Maduro, instigate people. And they says an attempt to depose the leader appears to have failed, so we couldn't do, but try again. Try again. This is an encouragement. Put down Maduro. Try again. Again, the Guardian. Corrupt Maduro has broken his country. Now democracy has its day. Only removing him will put Venezuela back from the brink. So, people in Europe, they are aware of another kind of news. Exiled Jews symbolically sentenced Maduro to 18 years, so they want to construct this image that Maduro has already been convicted by tribunal, which is false. A study made by respected scholars, Mark Weisbrot and Jeffrey Sachs, in Washington, last year, in April 2019, says that the US sanctions fit to the definition here of collective punishment of the civilian population as described in both the Geneva and Hague international conventions, to which US is signatory. They are also illegal US sanctions under international law and treaties which the US has signed, and would appear to violate US laws as well. Again, representative of UN, Alfred Desire, says that US sanctions kill people. So it is not a soft way to attention Venezuela. They really kill people because they have lack of medicines or basic needs. Here there are some details about this report, and the final section of my presentation is about how even the US officials acknowledge that US has this plan for hegemony. Here is a video with General Wesley Clark, who was former Supreme NATO Allied Commander in Europe, and he says about some things that he witnessed in 1991 at Pentagon about some decisions, and it doesn't take
Is thinking.
What happened at 9/11 is we didn't have a strategy, we didn't have bipartisan agreement, we didn't have American understanding of it, and we had instead a policy coup in this country. A coup. A policy coup. Some hard-nosed people took over the direction of American policy, and they never bothered to inform the rest of us. I went through the Pentagon 10 days after 9/11. I couldn't stay away from Mother Army. I went back there to see Don Rumsfeld. I worked for him as a White House fellow in the 1970s. All this in the book. And I said, am I doing okay on CNN? He said, yeah, you're fine. He said, I'm thinking about it. He says, I read your book, and he said, this is a book that talks about the Coast Guard campaign, and he said, I just want to tell you, he said, nobody's going to tell us where or when we can bomb them. Nobody. He said, I'm thinking of calling this a floating coalition. What do you think about that? I said, well, sir, thanks for reading my book, and, he said, thanks, that's all the time I've got. Really? And I went downstairs, I was leaving the Pentagon, and an officer from the Joint Staff called me into his office and said, I want you to know, he said, sir, we're going to attack Iraq. And I said, why? He said, we don't know. He said, I said, well, did they tie Saddam to 9/11? He said, no. He said, but I guess they don't know what to do about terrorism, and so they think, but they can attack states, and they want to look strong, and so I guess they think if they take down a state, it will intimidate the terrorists. And you know, it's like that old saying, he said, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then every problem has to be a nail. Well, I walked out of there pretty upset, and then we attacked Afghanistan. I was pretty happy about that. We should have. And then I came back to the Pentagon about 6 weeks later. I saw the same officer. I said, why haven't we attacked Iraq? We're still going to attack Iraq? He said, oh, sir, he says, it's worse than that. He said, he pulled up a piece of paper off his desk. He said, I just got this memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that says we're going to attack and destroy the governments in 7 countries in 5 years. We're going to start with Iraq, and then we're going to move to Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. I said, 7 countries in 5 years. I said, is that a classified memo? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. He was about to show it to me. He said, because I don't want to talk about it. And I sat on this information for a long time, for about 6 or 8 months. I was so stunned by this, I couldn't begin to talk about it. And I couldn't believe it would really be true, but that's actually what happened. These people took control of the policy in the United States. And I realized then, it came back to me, a 1991 meeting I had with Paul Wolfowitz. You know, in 2001 he was Deputy Secretary of Defense, but in 1991 he was the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. It's the number 3 position in the Pentagon. And I had gone to see him when I was a 1-star general. I was commanding the National Training Center. I had met him one time. He said, if you ever get to Washington, come look me up. They always say that. Well, I was there in Washington. It was a Friday afternoon. I visited Cole Powell. He gave me 5 minutes of his precious time, and sitting on my way. I was bored at the Pentagon, and I thought, I'll just go, who can I see? I think I'll see Wolfowitz. So I called him up there. He was available. Scooter Libby came to the door. I met Scooter for the first time, and he brought me in. And I said to Paul, I said, and this is 1991, I said, Mr. Secretary, you must be pretty happy with the performance of the troops in Desert Storm. And he said, well, yeah, he said, but not really yet. He said, because the truth is we should have gotten rid of Saddam Hussein, and we didn't. And this was just after the Shia uprising in March of 91, which we had provoked, and then we kept our troops on the sidelines and didn't intervene. He said, but one thing we did learn, he said, we learned that we can use our military in the region, in the Middle East, and the Soviets won't stop us. He said, and we've got about 5 or 10 years to clean up those old Soviet client regimes. Syria, Iran, Iraq, before the next great superpower comes on to challenge us. And it was like, you know, I'm coming out of the Mojave Desert. I've been training troops. I haven't been thinking geostrategy for some time. And suddenly, a guy just sort of shoves this nugget at me. Well, you remember it. It was a pretty stunning thing. I mean, the purpose of the military is to start wars and change governments. It's not to sort of deter conflict. We're going to invade countries, and you know, my mind was spinning. And I put that aside. It was like a nugget that you hold on to. This country was taken over by a group of people with a policy coup. Wolfowitz and Cheney and Rumsfeld, and you could name a half dozen other collaborators from the Project for a New American Century. They wanted us to destabilize the Middle East, turn it upside down, make it under our control. It went back to those comments in 1991. Now, did anybody ever tell you that? Was there a national dialogue on this? Did senators and congressmen stand up and denounce this plan? Was there a full-fledged American debate on it? Absolutely not. And there still isn't.
So, I think it's relevant. Acknowledge from the position of Supreme Leader of NATO in Europe that the United States has this plan to conquer Middle East even from 1991. So it is not about terrorism that happened in 2001. It is not about Soviet Union. It is the plan of hegemonic domination of Middle East. And just a few seconds more. Some important documents from Pentagon. For instance, there's something that appeared in the New York Times, Wolfowitz Doctrine. It says, our first objective is to prevent the re-emergence of a new rival. And many others are important, but this is, I consider, the most important. Say, our first objective is to prevent the re-emergence of new rival. You remember what I told you in the beginning about hegemony. Hegemonic power is one that is uncontested, has no rival. Any other country or state don't have the means to fight with the hegemony. In 1999, Pentagon explained that US vital national interests include preventing the emergence of hostile regional coalition for hegemons in the world, worldwide, and ensuring uninhibited access to key markets, energy supply, strategic resources, as the one in Venezuela, which is the richest country in the world in oil. So for US interests, this is a vital interest, to have access to resources. And what about that country? Where is the democracy, the equality? In 2002, National Security Strategy. Again, we must build and maintain our defenses beyond challenge. Our military must dissuade future military competition, better threats against US interests, decisively defeat any adversary. So this is exactly synonymous with the definition of hegemony. US statements doesn't acknowledge literally that we want world hegemony, but they acknowledge in synonyms. US strategy from 2018 that is in working now. Their main objective, to remain the preeminent military power in the world, ensure the balance of power remain in our favor, advance an international order that is not conducive to our security and prosperity. So it is not about equality, it is not about cooperation. They have to be the axis, the judge, the arbiter. They have to decide the international order. And the vision for 2020 about space systems, it is a critical need, they say, to control the space medium to ensure US dominance on future battles. Space security is essential. As you know, in December last year, United States inaugurated a new branch of US military, Space Force. And it is significant that in all the meetings at UN, US banned the treaties for demilitarization of space of weapons. And why they did it? Because they want to be the single power in space, to dominate, as they wrote, ensure US dominance on future battlefields. So the final question is this: where we are going to, unipolarity or multipolarity? Thank you very much.
investigación para estudiar si había petróleo en esta región.
Started investigating if in a certain area there was oil.
Los venezolanos no sabíamos si allí había petróleo.
The Venezuelan people did not know if there's oil in that area.
Y vinieron unos universitarios a estudiar la región.
And some students came to,
De las universidades norteamericanas.
some American students came to investigate that area.
Y ellos prepararon un informe.
And they built a report.
Dijeron, en este sitio
They said in this
no
area
hay petróleo,
there's no oil.
hay otro material
There is a different material
que es similar a un petróleo de baja calidad.